Have you ever asked yourself why you keep waiting for the perfect moment that never comes? You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow or when things calm down or when you feel ready, but deep down, you know that tomorrow is just another word for never. That perfect moment you're waiting for doesn't exist. Life will never hand you the ideal set of conditions wrapped up neatly in a bow. And yet every day you hesitate, every day you delay, you feel a little heavier inside. The weight of regret begins to build, and it eats away at your confidence, your energy, your sense of possibility. You know what hurts the most? It's not the effort you didn't give. It's not the failures you never tried for. It's the silent truth that you held yourself back when you could have moved forward, that you allowed fear, doubt, or laziness to control you, that you chose comfort over courage, that you silenced the voice inside that begged you to act. And while you wait, life keeps moving, time keeps slipping, opportunities pass by. The world does not pause for your hesitation. But here's the good news. In this very moment, you have the power to change everything. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you finally feel ready. Right now. In this exact second, you can decide to take action, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it scares you, even if it feels too small to matter, because action, any action, is stronger than waiting. The smallest step forward creates momentum, and momentum changes everything. That is how people transform their lives, not through giant leaps made in perfect conditions, but through consistent, imperfect action that compounds over time. Think about it. Every great achievement you admire started with someone forcing themselves to move, even when they didn't feel like it. They didn't wait for motivation to strike. They didn't wait for someone else to tell them it was possible. They acted first, and the motivation followed. That is the hidden truth of progress. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. The brain rewards you when you move. It builds confidence when you do hard things. It rewires itself every time you push past resistance. You might feel that resistance now, that voice telling you it's too late, that you've wasted too much time, that change isn't possible for you. But that's a lie. The same energy you've used to procrastinate, to overthink, to hold yourself back, can be redirected into action. And when you start, even if it's clumsy, even if it's slow, you'll feel something powerful: relief. Because action dissolves fear, action silences doubt. Action reminds you that you are not stuck, you are not powerless, and you are not finished. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear has the potential to break the cycle you've been trapped in. If you've been searching for a sign, if you've been waiting for permission, this is it. Not because I say so, but because deep down, you already know you can't keep living this way. You're not here by accident. Something inside you is ready to rise, to fight, to break through. And if you force yourself to take that first step today, your future self will look back and thank you for the courage you chose right now. The truth is, you already know what you need to do. It isn't a mystery. It isn't hidden behind some secret formula or locked away in a book you haven't read yet. You know the call you've been avoiding, the work you've been postponing, the step you've been afraid to take. The problem isn't knowledge. The problem is hesitation. And hesitation kills more dreams than failure ever could. Failure can be corrected. Failure can teach. Failure can even build strength. But hesitation? Hesitation steals time, and time never comes back. Every second you wait, you let fear grow roots deeper into your mind. Fear thrives on stillness. It whispers louder when you sit still, convincing you that movement is dangerous, that action is too costly, that trying will only expose your weakness. But the moment you move, that voice loses power. It cannot survive in motion. Fear shrinks when you act. Doubt weakens when you step forward. That is why action is not just a choice, it is the cure. You must understand something. No one is coming to rescue you. No mentor, no friend, no lucky break will drag you out of the cage of inaction if you are not willing to unlock the door yourself. Yes, support matters. Yes, encouragement helps. But nothing, absolutely nothing changes until you decide to move. The responsibility is heavy, but it is also liberating. Because if no one else is in control, then it means you are. You hold the key. You always have. Think about the moments in your life when you did act, even when it was uncomfortable. Remember the relief you felt afterward. Remember the pride that came from proving to yourself that you were capable. That wasn't an accident. That was your true self emerging. That same power is still inside you, waiting to be used again. The only difference between the person you are and the person you want to be is the number of times you've chosen action over hesitation. Every day, you force yourself to act. You train your mind to trust you again. You repair the broken promises you've made to yourself. You stop being the person who talks about change and start being the person who creates it. This is why action is so transformative. It rebuilds self-respect. And when you respect yourself, you stop settling for less. You stop letting excuses win. You stop waiting for life to hand you something better, and you start building it with your own two hands. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to feel confident. You don't need every detail figured out. You only need to take the next small step and then the next and then the next. Because progress doesn't demand perfection. It demands movement. And the faster you accept that, the faster you'll start changing your life. So when your mind screams at you to wait, when your body craves the comfort of doing nothing, remember this: discomfort is not your enemy. Discomfort is the signal that you are growing, and growth is always worth the struggle. When you act, you unlock doors you never even knew were in front of you. When you act, you discover strength you didn't realize you had. And when you act, you prove to yourself that you are more powerful than fear, more powerful than doubt, and far more capable than you've ever given yourself credit for. The reason action feels so difficult is because your mind is wired to protect you, not to push you. It wants safety. It wants predictability. It wants the path of least resistance. That's why the first step always feels the heaviest. But understand this: your brain cannot tell the difference between the danger of a wild animal and the discomfort of chasing your dreams. It reacts the same way, sending signals of fear and resistance to hold you back. And if you listen, if you obey, you stay trapped in a cage built by your own thoughts. The way out is not to wait for fear to disappear, but to act despite it. This is how you reprogram your mind. Every time you take a step when fear says stop, you teach your brain a new truth, that you are stronger than the resistance it creates. Over time, those small acts of courage build a new identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who hesitates, but as someone who moves. And identity is powerful. Once you believe you are the kind of person who takes action, hesitation loses its grip. That is why forcing yourself is not a punishment. It's a training ground. It's the place where discipline is forged. Because discipline is not about denying yourself. It's about freeing yourself. It's about proving that you are not controlled by moods or fears or fleeting desires. Discipline is choosing the future you want over the comfort you crave in the moment. And the more you practice it, the easier it becomes to act, even when every part of you wants to stay still. Think about the people you admire, the ones who seem unstoppable. They aren't superhuman. They aren't fearless. They have simply built the habit of acting in the presence of fear. They know that waiting for motivation is a trap. They know that hesitation is poison. So they move again and again until movement becomes who they are. That is available to you too, if you are willing to force yourself through the first few battles. Your future self is begging you not to waste another day. Imagine looking back 1 year from now. Will you be proud that you acted, or will you be angry that you stayed the same? The pain of discipline is sharp, but temporary. The pain of regret lingers for a lifetime. And that is the choice you are making every day: short-term discomfort or long-term regret. Which one do you want to carry? Action may feel heavy at first, but the weight of regret will always be heavier. And here's the truth: once you take that first step, the fear begins to fade. Once you move, the resistance weakens. Once you act, you realize it wasn't as impossible as your mind made it out to be. That is why action is freedom. It frees you from the chains of overthinking, from the lies of fear, from the slow death of wasted time. Do not let your life be defined by hesitation. Do not let your story be one of waiting. You are capable of more, and the proof is waiting on the other side of action. Push yourself, force yourself, demand more from yourself than comfort and safety. Because when you do, you will unlock a life that hesitation could never give you. And that life is worth every ounce of effort it takes to begin. There is a part of you that already knows what you're capable of. You feel it when you imagine the life you want, when you picture yourself stronger, freer, more alive. That vision isn't a fantasy. It is a glimpse of who you could become if you stop holding yourself back. But every time you hesitate, every time you choose comfort over growth, you bury that vision deeper under layers of excuses. You silence the part of you that was built for more. And if you silence it long enough, you begin to believe the lie that maybe you're not meant for greatness after all. That lie is the most dangerous prison of all because it convinces you to settle, to accept less than you deserve, to shrink your dreams to fit the size of your fears. But deep down, you know that settling feels like slow death. You know that playing small doesn't protect you. It suffocates you. And the only antidote to that suffocation is movement. When you act, even in the smallest way, you breathe life back into the part of you that still believes. The psychology is simple. Your brain builds evidence for whatever identity you reinforce. If you keep waiting, you teach yourself that you are someone who hesitates, someone who avoids, someone who talks but doesn't do. But the moment you force yourself to act, you start building a different identity. You prove to yourself that you are capable of discipline, that you are strong enough to face resistance, that you are willing to fight for your own future. That proof rewires you, and the more proof you stack, the more unstoppable you become. This is why forcing yourself matters. Because without action, dreams rot into regret. Without action, confidence dies. Without action, the best parts of you remain locked away, waiting for a day that never comes. But with action, everything changes. With action, you give yourself permission to grow, to fail, to learn, and to rise stronger. With action, you take back control. You don't have to see the whole path right now. You don't have to know exactly how it will unfold. You only need to take the next step that fear is telling you to avoid. That step is the doorway. That step is the proof. That step is the beginning of transformation. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable. Yes, it will feel uncertain. But that's exactly how you know you are on the right path. Growth never feels safe in the moment. It feels like risk, like struggle, like resistance. But on the other side of that discomfort is the life you've been craving. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll wait forever. Readiness is a myth. Confidence is not the cause of action. It is the result of it. Every confident person you admire earned it by moving when they didn't feel prepared. They didn't wait for certainty. They acted, and through action, they became. That same path is open to you right now. Your hesitation cannot define you unless you allow it. Your fear cannot control you unless you surrender to it. You are not weak for feeling resistance. You are human. But you become powerful when you refuse to let resistance decide your future. And that power is unlocked in one place only, the moment you force yourself to act. Every breakthrough begins with a choice, and that choice is always uncomfortable. You already know what it feels like to stay the same. You already know the dull ache of unfulfilled potential, the heavy silence of promises you never kept to yourself. That pain is familiar, but it is not your destiny. It is only the shadow of what happens when you let fear lead. The real version of you, the one that is bold, disciplined, and unstoppable, is waiting for you to decide that enough is enough. When you force yourself into action, you disrupt the cycle that has kept you trapped. You interrupt the endless loop of overthinking, doubting, and delaying. You break the momentum of hesitation and create a new momentum of courage. At first, that momentum feels fragile. One excuse can knock you off course. One setback can make you want to quit. But if you keep moving, if you keep proving to yourself that you are willing to act no matter how you feel, that momentum grows into something powerful. It becomes energy you can rely on, a force that carries you even when motivation runs dry. This is why you cannot afford to negotiate with yourself. The moment you give in to the voice of comfort, you strengthen it. The moment you hesitate, you tell your mind that fear was right. But the moment you act, you weaken hesitation's grip. You show yourself that fear was lying, and the more times you prove that lie wrong, the easier it becomes to move forward. This is not just about habits, it's about identity. You are shaping who you are with every choice you make. The person you dream of becoming is not built in the future. That person is built today, in the small acts of courage you choose now. Discipline compounds, confidence compounds, courage compounds. Every time you push yourself, you are stacking proof that you are stronger than the version of you that hesitates. And when you stack enough proof, you reach a point where acting becomes natural, where fear no longer controls your decisions, where hesitation no longer feels like an option. You might think it takes massive action to change your life, but the truth is, it begins with something far smaller. The real transformation comes from forcing yourself to take the first uncomfortable step. That single act of courage shifts everything because it proves you are capable. Once you prove it once, you can prove it again, and again, and again. That's how mountains are climbed, not in one leap, but in thousands of steps that begin with the decision to move. The resistance you feel is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that what you're about to do matters. If it didn't matter, fear wouldn't fight you. If it wasn't important, doubt wouldn't rise up to block you. That resistance is proof that you are stepping into growth. Instead of running from it, use it as a signal to lean in, because the more resistance you face, the more potential you are unlocking on the other side. You are not powerless. You are not stuck. You are not destined to repeat the same cycle forever. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the decision to act when it's hardest. Force yourself and watch how quickly the world begins to open up in front of you. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not against the obstacles outside of you, but against the resistance within you. The world will throw challenges in your path, yes, but none of them can stop you the way hesitation can. Nothing defeats a human being faster than their own willingness to quit before they even begin. That is why the decision to act is so powerful. It is the moment you declare that you will not be ruled by fear, by excuses, or by the false comfort of waiting. Every day you wake up with a choice: to continue living inside the cycle of delay, or to take control and move forward. That choice may seem small, but it carries the weight of your entire future. Because each day you choose to act, you build momentum. Each day you choose hesitation, you lose it. And momentum is everything. Momentum can make the impossible feel inevitable, but you only earn it through movement, through action, through forcing yourself when it would be easier to stop. You must understand how powerful your decisions are. One choice can redirect your life. One act of courage can shatter years of limitation. One moment of pushing yourself can create a ripple that changes everything. This is why you cannot afford to wait. You cannot afford to give your fear one more day, one more hour, one more second of control. Your life is happening now, and if you do not seize it, it will slip through your hands while you stand still. The key is to stop asking how you feel about it. Feelings are fleeting, unreliable, and often driven by fear. If you wait to feel like acting, you'll wait forever. Discipline begins when you stop negotiating with your emotions and start honoring your commitments. You do it because you said you would. You do it because your future deserves it. You do it because every act of discipline rewrites the story you tell yourself about who you are. And when you push through that resistance, something incredible happens. You begin to trust yourself again. You start to believe in your own strength, not because someone told you, not because you read it in a book, but because you lived it. You did the hard thing. You faced the fear. You proved to yourself that you are capable, and that proof is worth more than any inspiration you could ever hear, because it came from within you. Fear will always be there whispering, trying to hold you back, but you do not have to obey it. You do not have to let it dictate your life. The more you act in spite of fear, the smaller it becomes. The more you move, the more you realize that most of the limits you believed in were illusions. And when those illusions shatter, the world feels bigger, brighter, more open. You see opportunities where before you saw walls. You see strength in yourself where before you saw weakness. This is what action does. It liberates you. It awakens you. It reminds you that you are not here to shrink, but to rise. You are not here to wait, but to build. You are not here to live inside the cage of hesitation, but to break through it and claim the life that is waiting for you. And that life is closer than you think. It is only one act of courage away. You were not created to live your life in hesitation. You were not given breath just to waste it on excuses, delays, and endless waiting. There is a fire inside you that will never be satisfied by comfort. There is a hunger that will never be fed by staying still. And the longer you deny it, the louder it will echo inside your chest. That ache you feel when you think about what could have been, that is your soul reminding you that you were made for more. Every time you choose action, you are answering that call. You are saying yes to the part of you that refuses to settle, the part of you that knows there is something greater waiting on the other side of fear. This is not just about chasing goals. This is about reclaiming your power, because when you act, you remind yourself that you are not a victim of circumstance. You are not trapped by your past. You are not defined by your doubts. You are defined by what you choose to do right now. The psychology is undeniable. Action rewires the mind. Each step forward builds new connections in your brain, strengthening confidence, focus, and resilience. What once felt impossible begins to feel normal. What once terrified you begins to lose its hold. This is how growth happens, not in an instant, but in the steady repetition of choices that defy fear. Your brain adapts to what you demand from it. If you demand comfort, it will give you weakness. If you demand courage, it will give you strength. And this is why forcing yourself matters so deeply, because there will never be a day when fear disappears on its own. There will never be a moment where the path suddenly feels easy. The only way to build the life you want is to push through resistance again and again until it bends. And every time you do, you are not only changing your circumstances, you are changing yourself. You are becoming the person who no longer runs from difficulty, but meets it head on. Picture the life that waits for you if you keep choosing action. A life where hesitation is no longer your default. A life where you trust yourself completely because you know you will act when it matters most. A life where goals that once felt out of reach are now part of your reality. That vision is not a fantasy. It is the direct result of what you decide in moments like this. The cost of inaction is too high. It robs you of time, of energy, of dreams. But the reward of action is immeasurable. Action gives you momentum. Momentum builds confidence, and confidence unlocks opportunities you never thought possible. That cycle is waiting for you to step into it. All it asks is that you begin. This is your chance to prove to yourself that you are done waiting. This is your chance to break the cycle that has kept you small. Do not let fear convince you to delay one more day. Do not let hesitation steal one more year. Force yourself to act, and in doing so, you will awaken the strength that has always been inside you. That strength is your freedom. That strength is your future, and it begins the moment you decide to move. There comes a moment in every life when you must decide who you are going to be. Not the version shaped by fear, not the version limited by hesitation, but the version that acts with courage, discipline, and relentless determination. That moment is not somewhere far in the future. It is now. Every choice you make today is shaping the person you are becoming tomorrow. And if you want a future filled with strength, freedom, and fulfillment, then you must earn it through the actions you take in this very moment. Action is the bridge between who you are and who you could be. Without it, your dreams remain ideas, floating just out of reach, fading as time moves on. With it, those same dreams begin to take form. They become real, tangible, achievable. Action is what transforms hope into progress and potential into reality. You cannot think your way into the life you want. You cannot wish your way into growth. You can only act your way into it. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable. Growth always does. But discomfort is not punishment. It is proof that you are moving forward. It is evidence that you are no longer trapped by hesitation, no longer willing to live small. Every time you choose to act, you are choosing growth over stagnation, freedom over fear, purpose over regret. That choice defines you more than your past, more than your mistakes, more than anything anyone else has ever said about you. Do not underestimate the power of forcing yourself to move, even when it feels impossible. That single act is how change begins. That single act is how habits are built, how identities are formed, how lives are transformed. You may not see the full impact in the moment, but every time you act, you are planting a seed. And those seeds, watered with consistency and discipline, grow into results beyond anything you can imagine. The real tragedy is not failure. Failure is a teacher, a stepping stone, a necessary part of growth. The real tragedy is never trying. The real tragedy is looking back on your life and knowing you had the chance, knowing you had the ability, but lacking the courage to act. That pain is far heavier than the discomfort of effort. That regret is far sharper than the sting of struggle. You have the power to avoid that pain right here, right now, by forcing yourself to step forward. Your hesitation does not define you. Your fears do not define you. What defines you is the choice you make in the face of those fears. Will you let them hold you, or will you prove, through action, that you are stronger than the voice that tells you to wait? Every act of courage builds a foundation that nothing can shake. Every step forward adds weight to the identity of someone who refuses to be stopped. This is your life. No one else can live it for you. No one else can act in your place. The responsibility is yours, and with it comes incredible power. The power to change, the power to grow, the power to create a future you will be proud of. That future begins when you stop waiting and start moving. It begins when you force yourself to act again and again until action is no longer something you have to fight for. It is simply who you are.